Thank you very much, Arun. Thank you for your kind invitation, and good morning, everybody. Good evening in Asia from Italy. So it's clear that to present the last presentation is a challenge, because most of had been said about the WEFE Nexus, and I will try to not repeat what my different colleagues have said during their presentation. So I will try to share with you our experience in implementing the WEFE Nexus. So I'm César Carmona from the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, and I'm in charge of the water management in developing countries, and I'm in charge of the WEFE Africa project in the European Commission. Okay, so I will try to fly some fundamental principles. So our colleagues has already speak about what is the nexus. So the WEFE Nexus is an approach so that integrates management and governance across the multiple sectors, food, energy, water, and ecosystem, as this has been said. So the WEFE Nexus approach is a way to ensure more integrated and sustainable use of the resources. So this is really very important to understand. Okay, so another point is that we can define that at different scales. So not only at national scale, but also at boundary, at river basin scale, or transboundary river basin scales, or regional scales. This could be the case of HKH. Okay, so we have some key principles regarding the nexus concept. So we have made a publication in 2019. We have published a position paper on WEFE and sustainable development goals. So I can share the publication with you. So it's important to say that the WEFE Nexus recognizes the interdependence between the different sectors, the water, energy, food, and ecosystem. It's important to understand these different the links between the different sectors, not only across the space but also in the time. So it's really very important to see that it's not only a picture in one moment, but we have also to see how this evolves in the time, and mainly in the future. So the objective of the nexus is to identify integrated policy solution to optimize trade-off and maximize synergy across the different sectors. And it's important also to value the natural capital of land, water, energy sources, and ecosystems. So all these different elements, but also several case studies can be found in this publication that I can share with you later. So the question now is, how can we have a successful WEFE Nexus implementation? So it's really very important to understand that I think that you have already understood, so that the WEFE Nexus approach is quite complex. So we have to admit this complexity, to manage this complexity because of the heterogeneity of the actors. This is particularly true in transboundary river basins, where we have not only different institutions in different countries, but you have also the different interests to be managed by the different countries, and this is really very complex. Or could be really very complex. It's for the reason that is, in order to have a successful WEFE Nexus implementation, we have to have a policy, actual policy will to reach agreements. And this will define what we call the cooperation framework, or the Nexus cooperation framework, that will do a WEFE Nexus implementation a success history. So the objective of the WEFE Nexus, everybody has to agree that we is there to identify and agree on actual issues, priorities, but also opportunities and needs, and what are those needs that need to be addressed. And last but not least, it's also important to well define and implement effective mechanisms for exchanging, managing, and monitoring information and data. Why? Because this strongly influence the decision-making processes. Without this element, we cannot ensure WEFE Nexus implementation. We cannot ensure the success of the WEFE Nexus implementation. Okay, when we have all these different elements in place, so I have said, so this cooperation framework, this Nexus cooperation framework put in place, we can start to work together. So this is really very important. It's a previous condition to implement the Nexus. I'm showing here a data flow, the data flow process, in order to achieve the strategic development documents or investment plans of development measures. The first phase is we have to put in place is to make this state of the art of what is happening in the region, what is happening in the country, or what is happening in the Transboundary River Basin. So it's important to see what is the past, and the future in the region, to well understand where we would like to go with the identification of development priorities. So
2
another
minutes, 2 minutes
okay,
remaining.
thank you. Another important point is from when we have defined this first phase, we can pass to understand the situation of the different sectors in the region, and from there we should establish, and we should try to understand what are the different WEFE interactions, in order to identify point of collaboration, potential collaboration, and point of interest. From there, we can develop scenarios that will feed the policy dialogues in order to obtain or to define this strategic development document, investment plans, and so on. So if the interest of the WEFE Nexus, this is at another level, if the interest is to identify intervention projects, concrete intervention projects, the approach is or the process is very similar, but we have to take into account that we are starting from something already there. So I mean some priorities that have been already identified, some potential intervention areas, and so on. And it's there where we can establish a Nexus identification document where we will define the different interests of the different actors, the different stakeholders, and the potential areas where intervention areas where the project will be implemented. Okay, and with this, we can pass to the phase where we will do a feasibility analysis. Okay, so we have at the JRC, the Joint Research Center, we have developed the eNexus decision support tool that help the technical staff in the different institutions to understand or to improve the knowledge and identify gaps and opportunity in the different sectors. So as you can see, these are different models. The advantage of this tool is that it's really very flexible and really very modular, so they can integrate other tools, other models, and so on. Last but not least is the multi-objective optimization tool, where in fact allow the different models to speak together in order to identify optimal solutions. And from there we can feed, as I have said before, this nexus policy dialogues between the different institutions. Okay, so I will not speak about the different conclusions, but what I can mention is several publications. So not only this position paper that we have published in 2019, but we have recently published this document, the WEFE in Africa, where you can find concrete study cases in different river basins where we are working in the Niger, in Senegal, in the Nile, in the Blue Nile, in fact, and in the Zambezi. We are also publishing a document now implementing the WEFE and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals together with UNESCO and IWA. We have also several policy briefs that we have published during these recent years. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, César. I think that was very useful presentation. I found it very interesting. The way you have kind of, started with the principle, then give us an overview of the process, right? The dialogue process, the assessment process. And the last part on the tools, I think that would be probably of interest to quite a lot of people. So maybe at some point, all of us would like to know how to, access that tool and how can we use it if we can. So that was very useful. Thank you. We went